frantic call came through to Grove City Police at midnight reporting a body lying frozen in the snow, completely naked. Reagan Toes walked out of work that night, never knowing someone was already waiting in the darkness behind her car watching. Her phone kept ringing for 4 straight hours that night, but she never answered. And then suddenly the signal just disappeared forever. Police found her lying in the park with no clothes, no phone, no identification, just a small tattoo and a necklace. In her final moments, she stood alone in that dark field begging for her life, saying, "I just want to live, please." A call came into Grove City Police. The body was out there. A frantic caller reported finding something no one was prepared to face. Near Seattle Grove Metro Park, something lay partially hidden beneath the cold snow. It was a young woman. No clothes, no purse, no phone, no identification at all. A small circle tattoo set on her skin. A thin necklace hung around her neck. That was all they had. No name, no face to put the pieces together yet. But back at a local restaurant, a missing person report was already being filed. A 21-year-old Ohio State student had not come home last night, and her family had not heard from her since she walked out that door. Police asked the roommates one simple question about a tattoo the moment they described it. Everyone in that room already knew the answer, because Reagan Toes had a tattoo exactly like that one on her body. It was her lying out there in the snow that whole time. But the most terrifying part was still ahead of all of them, because very quickly, detectives realized something that changed everything about this case. That night, Reagan did not just disappear from that restaurant parking lot. She was taken by force from her own car behind the restaurant. She was driven from ATM to ATM, forced to withdraw money she did not have. And in the final moments of her life, she spent them all begging to be allowed to live just one more day. Her words were simple, and they were absolutely heartbreaking to hear. She kept saying over and over again the same thing again and again. "I just want to live." That is all she kept saying to him. Grove City, Ohio was once a large and busy farming community back in the day. Today it feels like one of those quiet American towns where life moves just a little slower. There are state parks nearby where families hike, kayak, and even go pumpkin picking every fall. And just about 15 minutes away sits Ohio State University with around 60,000 students enrolled. Back in 2017, one of those proud students was 21-year-old Reagan Delaney Toes. Her family had recently moved from Ohio down to Florida because of work obligations. But Reagan decided to stay right there in Columbus to keep studying at Ohio State. It was the only university she had ever dreamed of attending her entire life. Her father Toby had once taken her to a football game there when she was a little girl. From that exact moment on, the decision was already made inside her mind and her heart. She was so confident she would get in that she told people before the letter even came. And eventually the acceptance letter did arrive and she was officially accepted into Ohio State. After that, she threw herself completely into student life and never looked back even once. Reagan was studying psychology and she already had a very clear plan for her future. Worked for a few years after graduating and then eventually opened her own practice someday. That family meant absolutely everything to Reagan, and she was especially close with her entire family. She loved her dad Toby and her mom Lisa and her younger sister Mackenzie very deeply. She jokingly called Mackenzie by the nickname Gigi, and they talked several times every single day. No matter how busy Reagan was with school, she always made time for every single one of them. Her mother often said Reagan had been a little ball of energy ever since she was a baby. She was always ready to jump into something new and exciting, and she never backed down from anything. But what really stood out even from a very young age was her incredible compassion for others. Reagan always seemed to notice that people standing off to the side of any room or group, she'll notice the ones who looked like they might need a friend, and she always went to them. Her mother once had to stop the car and wait while Reagan picked up tiny bugs from the road. She carefully moved them so they would not get stepped on by cars or people walking by. She just could not stand seeing anything suffer, no matter how small or insignificant it might have been. The Toes family spent a lot of time at their local church throughout the entire year. During holidays, Reagan often traveled with church groups on mission trips to help people in need. People described her as fun and a little carefree and very talkable and a total social butterfly. She also loved sports and played both varsity tennis and lacrosse throughout her high school years. With everything Grove City had to offer, it really felt like the perfect place for Reagan to be. She lived off campus with 4 roommates named Jackie, Madison, Kirsten, and Stephanie in a small apartment. They had actually been placed together completely randomly at first, but right away they all clicked together perfectly. Before long, they had all become incredibly close friends, and some even worked together at the same restaurant. Lately though, Reagan had been going through a bit of a really difficult time in her personal life. She and her boyfriend Jake had mutually decided to break up and go their separate ways for now. Reagan was so focused on finishing school and graduating with the best possible grades that they both have read the best thing for them right now was to focus on school completely without any distractions at all. And later on, well, they would just have to see where life decided to take them both next. Her roommates said the breakup had been really hard on Reagan emotionally and mentally during that entire period. But Reagan and Jake still talked a lot, and they both said they would always stay best friends forever. As her final year of college was coming to an end, Reagan posted something on social media one day. She said her dad had already bought a beautiful frame for her diploma to hang on his wall. You could tell this was a really emotional moment in her life and everything she had worked toward. By February of 2017, graduation was only a few months away and she was busier than ever before. On the evening of February 8th, Reagan left her apartment to go work her shift at Bodha Restaurant. That night was actually pretty quiet, and she finished work a little before 10 o'clock at night that evening. After her shift, she walked out to her car, which she always parked on the street behind the restaurant. Reagan had one habit that she followed every single week without fail, no matter what else was going on. She always texted her family to let them know she had gotten home safely that very same night each time. Her entire family lived about 1,000 miles away in Florida, and she never wanted them worrying about her ever. But that night, the message that always never came through at all, and nobody could reach her by phone. At around 10:30, her sister Mackenzie sent her a regular text message, just like she always did every night. The message went through on the phone and it was delivered, but there was absolutely no reply from Reagan. Her father started calling her phone again and again, hoping she would pick up, but the phone kept ringing. He called her phone for 4 straight hours and the phone just kept ringing every single time without any answer. Then sometime around 2 in the morning, the signal suddenly disappeared completely and the calls could not go through anymore. The next morning, Reagan did not show up for her morning lecture at the university and nobody had heard from her. Her dorm room was completely empty, and the bed was neatly made and her school bag was lying on the floor. A few hours later, police received a call that would change everything and confirm everyone's worst fears that morning. A passerby reported that near the entrance to Scioto Grove Metro Park, he had found the body of a young woman. She was lying there in the snow completely naked with no phone and no identification and no clothes anywhere nearby at all. The only things on her body were a small circle-shaped tattoo and a delicate little necklace around her neck. That was it. A few hours later, police asked Reagan's roommates one very simple question that would change everything for everyone in that room. Did she have a tattoo exactly like this one? And in that moment, everyone understood what had truly happened to Reagan. The autopsy later confirmed something truly horrific that no one was prepared to hear about Reagan's final hours on this earth. Reagan had been sexually assaulted and then shot 2 times in the head by someone who stood right behind her body. One bullet hit the back of her skull and another bullet went into the side of her face at close range. Experts determined that both shots had been fired from behind her at almost point-blank range with incredible precision and cruelty. It was essentially an execution-style killing carried out by someone who showed absolutely no mercy or compassion for another human being. DNA from cigarette butts found inside Reagan's car matched someone already in the police database from previous criminal cases. 29-year-old Brian Lee Goldsby was a convicted sex offender who had only gotten out of prison a few months before. He had been committing violent crimes since childhood and his criminal history was absolutely disturbing and deeply horrifying to read through. In 2011, he kidnapped a pregnant woman and her 2-year-old son and sexually assaulted her right in front of her child. He forced her to drive to multiple ATMs to withdraw cash and then attacked her again at her own home. After that, he made the woman shower and brush her teeth to get rid of any DNA evidence before he left. But this time, the evidence found inside Reagan's car was more than enough to move forward with serious charges against him. DNA matched his profile and CCTV footage showed Reagan herself at the ATMs while someone sat right beside her in the car. Ankle monitor data placed Brian at every single location where Reagan had been that entire night from start to finish completely. He was arrested by a SWAT team at 4 in the morning and charged with aggravated murder and rape and kidnapping. During a 6-hour interrogation, Brian told several different versions of what happened that night and every single one contradicted the others. Eventually, he even admitted to everything during 2 phone calls he made from jail to his girlfriend and one friend outside. He said, "I did it, and I killed that girl for the money and nothing else mattered to me that night." Despite all of his confessions and the overwhelming mountain of evidence against him, Brian refused to formally plead guilty in court. The case went to trial, and on what should have been Reagan's 23rd birthday, he was found guilty on all counts. The jury could not reach a unanimous decision about punishment, and Brian received 3 life sentences without any possibility of parole ever. He was also given an additional 66 years in prison for the armed robberies and assaults he committed before Reagan's murder. Brian was sent to serve his sentence at the Ohio State Penitentiary, which is a maximum security prison facility for violent offenders. Reagan's family fought hard to change the system, and in 2019, the Reagan Toes law officially went into effect across Ohio. The law allows courts to impose indefinite prison sentences and improves how released offenders are monitored after leaving the correctional system. Thanks to a fundraiser organized by Jake the Reagan Delaney Toes Memorial Foundation, scholarship was created in her honor every year. Every year, the program provides to Ohio State students with financial support covering both tuition and housing costs entirely each semester. Self-defense classes have also been organized throughout the entire region to help protect young women like Reagan from future violence and harm. A special memorial space called Tranquility Garden was built at Scioto Grove Metro Park in Reagan's honor and memory forever. 5 buckeye trees were planted there as a symbol of her time as a student at Ohio State, which was her favorite place. Her mother Lisa later said, "In the end, love always wins, no matter what happens and no matter how dark things seem." The last few hours of Reagan's life must have been unimaginably terrifying beyond anything any of us can truly comprehend or understand. Her tearful pleas to be allowed to live while standing alone in a cold, dark field will never be forgotten by anyone. Everyone who knew Reagan Toes spoke about her the same way, and only with kindness and deep admiration for who she was. She was deeply compassionate and genuinely kind, and she always seemed to see the best in people and the world around her. Someone whose potential to achieve so much and help others along the way felt absolutely limitless in every possible way imaginable. Her sister Mackenzie learned about her death through an Instagram post before anyone from the family could even be officially notified. Reagan's father Toby said the system had serious flaws and changes. It must happen because of this senseless tragedy that took his daughter. He said they would spend the rest of their lives working to make sure those changes actually happened for everyone in the future. And they truly did fight every single day to honor Reagan's memory and protect others from suffering the same horrific fate she did. Reagan Toes was just 21 years old with her whole entire life ahead of her and everything she ever wanted within reach. She was a kind and loving and compassionate young woman who always thought about others before herself in every situation she faced. She was taken from this world by someone who should have never been free to walk among innocent people in the first place. Her story is a reminder that the system can fail, and when it does, the consequences are absolutely devastating for innocent families everywhere. But her legacy lives on through the scholarship in her name, the self-defense classes, and the law that now bears her name forever. Reagan wanted to make the world a better place, and even though she is gone, her impact continues to change lives every single day. Rest in peace, Reagan Delaney Toes. You will never be forgotten by anyone whose life you touched with your kindness and your beautiful soul.